According to China Daily, China's economy grew by about 10% per year on average for 40 years. This rapid growth helped over 800 million people escape extreme poverty. Additionally, the country became a global industrial leader and gained a significant competitive advantage over both Western developed economies and the global South by mastering advanced technologies, whether they were borrowed from other countries or developed locally. Also, as reported by the Center for Economic Policy Research, China is currently the sole manufacturing superpower in the world, with production surpassing that of the 9 next largest manufacturers combined. So, with a steady growth in the national economy and a widespread reputation around the globe, let's explore how China remains to be one of the world's giants, a force to be reckoned with. After China adopted open and reform policies in the 1970s and 1980s, its economic growth has been extraordinary. In recent decades, the output per person has soared by about 3,000%, leading many experts to call China's economic progress a miracle. In 2022, Radio Network Voice of America reported that the British Consultancy Center for Economics and Business Research predicted China's GDP would grow by 5.7% each year until 2025, and then by 4.7% annually until 2030. This prediction states that by 2030, China's economy, which is currently the second largest in the world, will overtake that of the United States, which is currently ranked first. Fast forward to earlier this year, China declared an ambitious target to achieve 5% economic growth by 2024, according to the World Economic Forum. 8 months into the year, policymakers and economists alike express optimism that China will succeed in achieving its objective. At the World Economic Forum's annual meeting of the new champions in Dalian, China, Premier Li Qiang expressed confidence in meeting the country's growth target. Additionally, Peng Sen, president of the China Society of Economic Reform, also voiced complete confidence that China will achieve its 5% growth target. At this point, it's apparent that China's economic landscape has a steady and powerful future ahead. Let's dive into some of the factors that drive the country's economy, starting with its standing when it comes to global trading. As reported by CNBC earlier this year, the Asian Development Bank asserts that China remains a vital trading partner for numerous nations worldwide, and that the myth that the superpower is no longer connected to the global economy is exaggerated. Albert Park, chief economist at the Asian Development Bank, told CNBC that China likely remains the top trading partner for most countries worldwide. Despite some declines in certain areas of trade, Park noted that China's role and significance in the global value chain have not decreased. But the myth about the country no longer being a superpower might be because of the fact that in 2023, China's trade with its main partners dropped, and its annual exports fell for the first time in 7 years due to lower demand amid slower global growth. Despite this, China continues to be a key trading partner for over 120 countries and remains the largest trading partner for Japan, South Korea, Taiwan, and Vietnam, according to the Wilson Center. This is evident in the fact that in 2022, China's main exports were broadcasting equipment, integrated circuits, and computers, with the United States, Hong Kong, and Japan being its biggest markets. On the import side, China primarily bought crude petroleum, integrated circuits, and iron ore, with the United States, South Korea, and Japan being its top suppliers, according to the Observatory of Economic Complexity. Aside from the trading side of the economy, China's services sector is a key driver of its economy, accounting for over 54% of economic output in 2023. This is up from just over 46% of GDP in 2013, according to Statista data. Goods consumption is also a major growth driver, with the country reporting $6.63 trillion in 2023, a 7.2% increase from the previous year. Retail sales in China rose by 10.1% between November 2022 and November 2023, as reported by the National Bureau of Statistics of China, while retail sales in the United States increased by just over 4% during the same period. Lastly, and unsurprisingly, one of the main factors that allow the Chinese economy to thrive is its manufacturing industry. And at this point, it is no secret that the country is deemed as the world's manufacturing hub. Its robust economic environment, relatively lenient trade laws, cheap taxes and charges, and competitive currency practices have all contributed to its current state. It is also fueled by low labor costs, since China has a major competitive edge in producing items at cheaper costs thanks to its large and relatively inexpensive workforce. Additionally, quick product delivery and manufacture are made possible by the nation's strong and effective supply network. A prime example of China's feat in the manufacturing industry is in automobiles, as it is the world's largest car manufacturer. In 2023, China produced over 30.1 million vehicles, far surpassing the 10.6 million vehicles made in the US. Japan was the third largest producer with around 9 million vehicles, and India followed with about 5.9 million units, according to the International Organization of Motor Vehicle Manufacturers. But while a strong economy is a crucial qualification for a country to be considered a global superpower, it is not the only factor that matters. If we're talking about global superpowers, there's no steering away from the topic of military strengths. The People's Liberation Army, or PLA, is China's combined military force covering land, sea, and air. In Business Insider's 2023 ranking of the world's most powerful militaries, China was ranked third. The report noted that China has rapidly expanded its military strength in recent years as it takes a more active role in global affairs. The article cited the global firepower and stated that China benefits from strong economic resources and large manpower, and it has focused heavily on boosting its naval, air, and land warfare capabilities through local development. To put this into perspective, let's look at the country's naval power. By 2035, China's Navy is expected to be the largest in the world, according to retired U.S. Navy Rear Admiral Michael A. McDevitt. He notes that in the past 15 years, China has launched or commissioned 131 ships capable of long-distance operations and built around 144 other warships for regional use. McDevitt states that it is not unreasonable to forecast that over the next 15 years it could commission or launch 140 more blue water ships to grow its far seas capacity. In line with the vision of China growing its military strength, the U.S. Department of Military provided a report on the military power of the People's Republic of China in 2023. The report includes a section on the continuous development of China's military's cyber, space, and nuclear capabilities. A senior defense official stated that China is quickly modernizing and expanding its nuclear forces. He said, "They are expanding and investing in their land, sea, and air-based nuclear delivery platforms, as well as the infrastructure that's required to support this." The report estimates that by May 2023, China had over 500 operational nuclear warheads, surpassing earlier predictions. Additionally, the report highlights that Chinese leaders are working to modernize the People's Liberation Army's capabilities across all areas of warfare. But the intent to modernize the military does not happen with just intent alone. The budget must match the desire. In recent years, a considerable portion of China's military growth can be attributed to growing defense funding. China's military spending increased at a rate of over 10% a year between 2000 and 2016, but thereafter fell to 5 to 7% per year. According to China Daily, China intends to boost its military budget by 7.1% to $230 billion in 2022, making it the second highest in the world after the US. Nevertheless, it's possible that this budget underrepresents the actual funds allotted to the military. The true discrepancy, according to Western analysts, might be as high as $60 billion annually. So as the budget rises for modernization, it is only natural for it to yield significant results. For example, last year at an expo in Tianjin, China unveiled a new powerful helicopter engine that is essential for producing larger helicopters. Additionally, China unveiled the Type 054B, an enhanced version of their largest frigate that may have advanced features like an electric propulsion system, a better radar, and an efficient power configuration. Also, China began the Fujian's maiden sea trials back in May this year, the country's third aircraft carrier and, as the Diplomat wrote it, China's largest warship that will project unprecedented striking power in the Indo-Pacific region. This will be the first carrier fully designed and built in China, and is expected to be ready for combat by 2025 or 2026. And as of 2024, China is ranked third out of 145 countries in the annual Global Firepower Review, the country has a power index score of 0.0706, which is notable since a perfect score would be 0.0000. And while we're talking numbers, according to GDF statistics, China ranks first for active personnel with over 2 million, 14th for total military personnel with 510,000, and 4th for paramilitary forces with 625,000. Additionally, the nation ranks first in available manpower with over 760 million, 2.5 million in Army personnel, and ranks second in both the Air Force and Navy personnel with 400,000 and 380,000 respectively. That's why, in light of China's decisions to modernize their military, other countries become inclined to have a close watch on them. In a 2023 study done by the Pew Research Center, 50% of Americans perceive China as the greatest threat to the U.S. As China's military modernization advances, it not only boosts the country's defense capabilities, but also significantly enhances its influence in global politics. Aside from their military modernization, China's policies and decisions, whether in trade, regional conflicts, or global governance, have far-reaching effects that can set off ripples across the world, shaping global economic trends and geopolitical events. It can be said that the economy and politics are closely intertwined. China's status as the world's second-largest economy gives it considerable influence in global trade and investment. A prime example is the Belt and Road Initiative. According to Chatham House, the BRI is an ambitious project to create 2 new trade routes connecting China to the rest of the world. However, the initiative goes beyond just building infrastructure. They said, it is an effort to develop an expanded, interdependent market for China, grow China's economic and political power, and create the right conditions for China to build a high-technology economy. And politically, on the world stage, the nation has been busy. It is a key player in the BRICS group, which includes Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, Iran, Egypt, Ethiopia, and the United Arab Emirates. China has an important position in BRICS, influencing both trade within the group and its foreign policy decisions, thanks to its sizable economy and its influence in international affairs. As per the East Asia Forum, the BRICS countries collectively provided over 45% of the global GDP growth between 2012 and 2022, with China accounting for over a quarter of this growth. Additionally, also mentioned under the same article, most of the growth in trade has centered around China, with other BRICS members contributing very little until lately. The recent boost in trade is mainly due to India's faster economic growth. However, the key point is that BRICS members are becoming more connected to China through trade, while trade between the other BRICS countries remains very low. And BRICS isn't the only group the country holds dominance in, as China also plays a leading role in other international groups. For example, it played a key role in creating the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or SCO, in 2001. As defined by Britannica, the SCO is an intergovernmental organization established by China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan, with the aim of promoting cooperation and peace among its member states, as well as fostering a new democratic, fair, and rational international political and economic order. Other than being a founding member, China holds great geopolitical influence over the organization. According to Xiaoyun Qiang, director of the Department of Russian Central Asian Studies at the Shanghai Institutes for International Studies, and Jia Han Sao, a senior researcher at the same institute, China has played a major role in shaping the SCO. China has contributed key ideas like the Shanghai Spirit, the new security concept, and the new 5 outlooks, which cover development, security, cooperation, civilization, and global governance. Additionally, China has introduced 3 global initiatives: the Global Security Initiative, the Global Development Initiative, and the Global Civilization Initiative, all aimed at building a community with shared interests and a common future. And other than the BRICS and SCO, China's place in the United Nations is worth mentioning. According to the Brookings Institute, China's growing influence at the UN is a result of President Xi Jinping's more active foreign policy and the fact that China's financial contributions to the UN are now the second highest after the United States. While China used to focus mainly on the UN's development work, it is now also making a strong impact in the core areas of peace and security. And speaking of peace, China has called for peace and offered to mediate in the Middle East conflict, but has not taken any direct action. According to the Klingendahl Institute, as Western moral authority wanes due to its unconditional support for Israel, amid a conflict that has led to numerous Palestinian civilian casualties, more countries are drawn to China's vision of a new multipolar world. This is a world where Western dominance is diminished and liberalism and democracy are no longer held as untouchable principles. There's one more area where China stands as remarkable, and that is its advancements in technology. To put things into perspective, China is a global leader in AI research and development. According to The Diplomat, artificial intelligence is one of the key technologies China is focusing on, and in some views, it is the top priority. For instance, as researched by JP Morgan, Chinese car makers recently showed off their new electric vehicles at the Beijing Auto Show. The competition in China's EV market is now centered around AI and its role in self-driving technology. Additionally, China is involved in developing the first drugs entirely created by artificial intelligence, which began human clinical trials in China last year. Major pharmaceutical companies are also investing heavily in this area to boost research, improve efficiency, and save costs in the long run. But it's not just AI. China was a pioneer in 5G technology and has deployed one of the world's largest 5G networks. According to the Global System for Mobile Communications Agency, China's 5G market is expected to boost the economy by nearly $260 billion by 2030, with 5G connections likely to exceed 1 billion this year. The report estimates that by the end of 2024, more than half of China's mobile connections will be 5G. By 2030, China is expected to become the world's largest market for this technology, with almost 90% of its mobile connections relying on it, accounting for nearly a third of all 5G connections worldwide. On a different side of tech, the country's approach to renewable energy is also worth mentioning. The country is a global leader in solar and wind power, contributing significantly to its renewable energy goals. For instance, China promised in 2020 to more than double its current capacity, aiming to reach 1,200 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2030. If current trends continue, the country will reach that goal by 2025 and may reach 1,000 gigawatts of solar power by the end of 2026. When it comes to nuclear technology, Jacopo Buongiorno, a professor of nuclear science and engineering at MIT, notes that China is the leading country in nuclear technology, as the country is likely 10 to 15 years ahead of the United States in nuclear power. As highlighted by the Information Technology and Innovation Foundation, between 2020 and 2035, China intends to develop 150 new nuclear reactors, of which 27 are presently under construction. The construction of each reactor takes roughly 7 years, which is much less time than in other nations. In addition to these reactors, China plans to construct 6 to 8 additional nuclear power plants yearly, and by 2030, it is anticipated to overtake the US in the amount of electricity produced by nuclear power. And as the country is doing the most in advancing technology here on Earth, China has made significant advancements in space exploration, including lunar missions and its own space station. In May of this year, China launched the Chang'e 6 mission, aiming to be the first to collect samples from the far side of the moon. This mission helps China achieve its aim of becoming a space powerhouse by 2045, as would other planned milestones on the Moon, Mars, and beyond. And when it comes to research and development, the World Economic Forum reports that China has seen a nearly 70% increase in spending from 2018 to 2023, making a significant global impact with its advancements in the latest technologies. Last year, China filed for 921,000 patents, a 15.3% increase from the previous year. China now has the greatest number of valid domestic patents worldwide. From being the world's manufacturing hub to having one of the most powerful militaries in the world, from amassing international political influence to being one of the leading countries in technology, the People's Republic of China has truly made its mark on the global stage. Therefore, it is important for the world to closely monitor China's actions and policies to manage both the opportunities and risks that come with its rise. Thank you for watching.